have a lot of my siblings with me, 5 of the youngest actually to be exact. Some of the older siblings couldn't come, but here are my 5 youngest, and so let me introduce you to them. This is
Sarah,
Susanna, we're 12 years old.
and we are the twins.
Isaac, and I'm 10.
I'm Abby, and I'm 8.
I'm Izzy, and I'm 6.
Hi all, welcome back, Sabrina here, and welcome to part 2 of what it's like growing up in a large family. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of my siblings with me, 5 of the youngest actually to be exact. Some of the older siblings couldn't come, but here are my 5 youngest, and so let me introduce you to them. This is
Sarah,
Susanna, we're 12 years old.
and we are the twins.
Isaac, and I'm 10.
I'm Abby, and I'm 8.
I'm Izzy, and I'm 6. And I'm the youngest.
So those are my youngest siblings, 5 youngest siblings, and so yeah. All right guys, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about what we all think about growing up in a big family. I'm going to be asking each of my siblings here today about what they think about growing up in a large family and some things that they like and that they dislike. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So first person I'm going to ask is Sarah, because she's the oldest right here. And so Sarah, you want to say something about what's your favorite thing about growing up in a big family?
Having people to always play with and just to have fun all the time. Never be bored.
Is there something you don't like about it? Or is there something that like you would rather be different?
Not really.
Not really? Yeah, can't really think of
She's
anything.
touching your hair.
Well, we may come back to that.
She's grabbing your
Susie, what about you?
I like how you're never alone when you're in a big family, so if somebody leaves, you always have somebody there. And it's just really nice, and you always get to play with somebody, and I don't really have something to dislike about all of them, except for them getting my room making messes. That's better. But that's over with now, so.
Isaac, what about you?
I like that everybody's around me sometimes, or sometimes. Yeah, I like that there's always someone to go and ask if they can play with you or something like that, or go outside and have fun. I like that, so yeah.
What about, is there anything you would change or
No,
No? No? Is there anything irritating about having a lot of siblings?
put me in my room.
When they're not supposed to? Yeah. Okay, Abby, what about you? What's your favorite thing?
Okay. I think it might be that I always have someone like to play with or like to go draw with or play hide and seek with or something like that. And just like that everyone's like
Look at the camera.
there for me when like there's like hard things or something.
Hard times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just
Always someone there for you?
yeah.
Is there anything you would change that irritates you? Okay. Do we irritate you sometimes?
Just a tiny bit sometimes. But
Cool. Alright, let's move on to Isabella. What's your favorite thing?
I like that everybody's around me whenever I get hurt. And
To help you when you get hurt? Yeah, and comfort you?
yes.
Yeah.
And be there always for me.
Never lonely?
Never lonely.
Yeah. Is there anything that's irritating about having that many siblings and being the youngest? What? What stands out to you?
I don't like being cute.
Okay. Well, guys, you heard it. She doesn't like being cute. Sounds like a really hard problem. All right, so that's kind of their perspective. My favorite thing about growing up in a big family obviously would be a lot like what they said, was just always having someone around you, never being bored, and always having someone there for you if you needed a shoulder to cry on or hard times. But I think one of my major favorite things right now in my life is having a lot of siblings also means, well, free babysitting. But also that my kids have so many aunts and uncles that they get to play with and grow up with, and so it's pretty cool. That's I think that's my favorite thing as of right now. And so that's, I'd say, yeah, my favorite thing. My least favorite, it's kind of hard because I really don't have anything that I disliked about it. I think the only thing, like when I was a teenager, my siblings, especially these two, would get in my room. They'd destroy my makeup. But thankfully they don't do that anymore because they're 12. They don't even live with me. So, but, and I mean, sometimes it gets a little crazy and you don't always get to be alone. But I would never say that that is a reason like not to have a big family. You can deal with that. And sometimes you have to go outside and be alone. You know, that's a good way to go outside and just, but I mean, really, you're never alone, and that's okay. But you can always just go out with your friends, or it's not like you can't ever be alone. So anyway, all right, so that's kind of what some of my siblings feel about growing up in a big family. So relatively all very positive things, and there's really, you have to understand, there's really not a whole lot of negatives to growing up in a big family. Now that might not be everyone's experience, but for us it was always a positive thing most of the time. Whenever it wasn't, it was either your siblings getting into your stuff, not having enough time just by yourself, and not always getting what you want. It's just selfish stuff that, you know, even when you get out into the real world, it really doesn't matter. So, yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and just talk to you about a few pros and cons to growing up in a big family, large family. And so one of the biggest pros in my life was obviously my favorite as of right now is just having so many siblings to help with my kids and play with them, and it seems like every year goes by and closer to my siblings, which is great and awesome. And obviously as they get older, I'm able to just have more relationship with them, and it's pretty cool. And I also have a special relationship with the older siblings, who are all younger than me but older than the 5 youngest. I have my brother who's married, like I've said before, and then I have Nick and Sam who are 18 and 16, and I have a special relationship with them as well, and I'm in some ways closer, but in other ways we're pretty much the same closeness or so. But yeah, anyway, so the biggest pro is obviously just having that many siblings and have my kids being able to play with them and hang out and all that. Another pro is that you always have someone there to help you with work. So like growing up, you always had chores, a ton of chores, and one of the coolest things is you didn't have to do it all by yourself or with just one other person. We got to have, 5 siblings at once cleaning a particular area sometimes. When we cleaned outside, it still took a long time because depending on how messy the area was or whatever, but it would always take relatively less time because we had more people, and so that was nice. So chores were cinched for the most part, except for when we didn't want to do them and then we'd fight over it. So but yeah, so that's a good pro. Another pro is that you're never alone, and this can also go right alongside a con, but I'm going to talk about it in a pro way, I guess. And what I mean by that is that you always have someone to play with. Obviously, like my siblings had said before, you always have someone to play with. You're never bored, and so it's a really big deal because like I know a lot of people who have grown up with one or themselves, they don't have any siblings. They're always lonely, or at least they have a special friend sometimes that they play with. But if you can, you know, think about that, like they always have their own room. They never sleep with any of their other siblings. There's no and sometimes it's a good thing, but they have no one to just play with around the house except for the parents. And so when your parents are busy, who do you play with? Yourself. And so it's so much more fun to have someone there for you always to play with. So yeah, you always have someone there to play with and have fun with. So all right, another pro is there's always lots of food in the house. Or there's always not necessarily lots of food, because actually that's not entirely true, because we run out of food really quickly because there's so many people eating. But the pro to that is that you always have your grocery bill. I mean, your grocery quantity is always a lot. So like when you go shopping, you have a ton of food that you bring home, and so there's always like a lot of one thing. And so that's always the cool thing, is like we always have a ton of stuff. Now granted, that will coincide with a con, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. But if you really think about it, like when we get food, it's in a large quantity, and so we have a lot of it, and it doesn't go as quickly as some. And so like we'll always have like a big thing that we were almost never out of was raisins. We always had a ton of raisins to snack on. Our parents were very into health, and so we weren't allowed to have processed sugar that was bleached, and we weren't allowed to have like candy. Every once in a while we'd be allowed to, but very rarely. So yeah, anyway, lots of food in the house, so that makes it nice and fun. So now let's go ahead and talk about some cons. So one con that coincided with a pro was obviously that you're never alone. So that can be a con when you want to be alone in your room, and guess who's bugging you at the door? Your sibling, or one of your siblings, or multiple siblings. And if you're reading a book like I would be normally growing up in a big family, I was always in my room reading a book. My brothers would try and come in and bounce on the bed and try to get me to come play with them even when I didn't want to. But like really, like I've said, I would rather have more siblings to play with than no siblings at all and have so much time to myself. I don't want that ever to be a thing. Like I would never want to have so much time for myself, which would mean that I'm always alone. No thank you. I would rather have very little time to myself and have lots of people to play with. So that is a con though, because you don't get a lot of time alone. So you don't. So another con that kind of coincides with having a lot of food in the house is also everything goes very quickly. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of people to feed in my house, growing up in our house, that we ran out of things very quickly. And so like we always had lots of raisins, but I do have to say that we also would go through a lot of raisins. So I think one of the biggest things we would go through, I think, would be like oil for cooking. Eggs were always gone, and cheese. Cheese is like something we all loved, and I mean, we went through it like it was candy, and we didn't have candy growing up. So yeah, anyway. So we just loved cheese, and that was something that we always cooked with because Mom, it was easy for her to bake up something with cheese in it, and it's an easy filler. But, and it's also not super unhealthy, so. But yeah, so we always ran out of things relatively quickly. I mean, we would try to make it every month, but it ended up being like every 3 weeks that we went shopping. And of course we went to Costco and all those things. So anyway, all right, so another con, and it's kind of an obvious one, and I know it's a lot of people, it scares people off a lot, is having the finances. The finances, having a lot of kids is expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it is expensive. It just is. My parents were Christians, and so they believed that God would always provide, and He always did. us kids never went hungry. We always had food and clothes, and we had a roof over our head. We were always taken care of. We were always warm, and we were always loved, all those things. So, I mean, financially, sometimes things were just tight for a while, but as far as like not having enough food or whatever, we always had plenty. Even if it was, you know, a little low for that month, we always still had a lot of food, and we had a lot of family who were able to help out sometimes if things got tight. But even if you don't, God will provide, and you're doing something that God views as a blessing. Having children, He views as a major blessing, and so you need to just rely on Him for your finances, essentially, and He will take care of you. Even if you have no money, He's gonna take care of you. So, all right, guys. So yeah, those are some pros and cons, and also some reasons why we love being in a big family, and some reasons why maybe we don't like it as much. But I just kind of wanted to talk about that, and next video we're going to be talking about some more subjects on growing up in a big family. It'll be kind of like a Q&A, so stay tuned for that video. It'll be coming out this week, I think, hopefully. If not, it will be next week, I promise. And I am so excited to film that video. It'll be exciting, and yeah, can't wait to talk to you guys about that. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section down below, and I will answer them in the next video to come. And so I would love to hear your questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Also, would you guys be interested in a video that I would interview my mom? That's one I've been thinking about doing, and I would really like to do, so let me know if you'd be interested in a video like that. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and so consider subscribing to my channel if you would like. I'd love to have you, and so yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time. Bye.